Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel, or welcome in if you're new around here. Today we've got an absolute roller coaster of a muzzleloader slash rifle season big buck hunt, that's for sure. Things went great, things went terrible, we had miscues, camera issues, and all the above really, at some very unfortunate times, but that's the way it goes. Now I'll keep this intro short so we can get right into the hunting, but I at least need to go over and explain a few things and kind of give some context here to start out. All the hunting you're going to see is on private land in Virginia during the muzzleloader and rifle seasons, so from I believe it was November 2nd this year until January 1st. As far as our setups go, during muzzleloader season we were hunting with a Night Revolution 50 caliber muzzleloader with a 45 caliber Sabo lead hollow point bullet, and during the rifle season we hunted with multiple rifles, but the one we actually ended up using was a Winchester Model 70 carbine in 243 with some Sierra Game Changer 90 grain rounds, and they got the job done very effectively. And throughout the video I will be hopping in both here and in voiceover to give context and explain things, but for now let's hop right into hunting. This is opening morning of muzzleloader season. Let's see what happens.
Alright y'all, well, it's opening morning of muzzleloader season, so we're back out here in the stand again, and I've already had 2 does walk past me right at very first light this morning. Since then, not much for deer, but I had a bunch of turkeys fly down off the roost in front of me here, and now they're up on the hill, so there has been some decent movement in the woods this morning. Kind of like I figured there would be. It has been up in the high 70s, low 80s the last several days, and we finally had a cold front move in last night where it got down to about 40 degrees, and it's probably about 45 or so right now, so things should be up and moving. This is typically a pretty good spot when it comes to muzzleloader season because it's kind of an intersect of multiple different trails and stuff that the deer take in and out of fields, as well as during the rut we have bucks that run this edge of this hillside in front of me. So we're in a good spot, and deer and turkeys have been up and moving, so we'll hang out here for a few hours this morning and see if anything good comes along. Well, I think that's gonna about do it for opening morning here of muzzleloader. We had, what, 5, 6, 7 does come past us. Saw some turkeys fly down off the roost, so this morning was a good morning overall, just nothing that we really wanted to take a shot at. So I think I'm gonna get down out of the stand, and maybe later on I'll pick you guys back up if we decide to go out for an evening sit. Alright, well, we're back out here in the stand again. It's been a couple days since opener, and we're in a little bit different location tonight. we're back in this box blind overlooking this failed bean field. If you haven't seen it, I did shoot a doe out of this field during early firearm season back in September, and long story short, this was supposed to be a soybean field, but through a combination of weed spray and the weather not raining and stuff, the deer absolutely mowed it all down before it had any kind of a chance to grow. And there has recently been a little bit of winter wheat put in here. It's just now starting to sprout up. There might still be a lone bean sprout or two out there, but not much as far as that goes. Either way, I see deer out here every single night that I'm over here. And supposedly there's been a couple bucks out in this field as well. I don't think they're anything big or mature, but that bodes well for us being able to see, or at least have the chance at seeing something good that we want to take a shot at. But we're muzzleloader hunting without a scope, so that's going to severely limit our range. I ideally want to be about 60 yards, so they're kind of going to have to be right up here in front of me. And here's my view of that field. That big tree you see over in the middle of your screen on the edge right there, that's about 85 yards straight across to the tree line. So I need them to be a little bit outside of that up here on top of this ridge. Now we do have the opportunity to see deer all the way down to that bottom edge over there as well, but that's 200 and something yards to that very top corner. And that's typically one of those hot spots I see deer come out at, is all the way up there. So they will work their way over here eventually. It's just how long is it going to take for them to do that. Either way, if they're up here on this little ridge that we're looking at, there's a good chance that we might be able to take a shot at them. So we'll see what happens, because I know that we'll see deer, but I just don't know if it'll be anything we want to shoot or if it'll be in range.
So that box blind went about how I expected it to, really. We saw those couple small bucks with those couple does down there, but that was at 200 yards, and there was no way I was taking that shot with an open sight muzzleloader, and it wasn't anything I was looking to shoot anyway. But fast forward in here, about a week and a half later, I had been hunting some other properties, and I decided to come back to this one where we started the video at, not really expecting much because I hadn't seen much in that area, but things got exciting pretty quick. So let's transition our way over to what is now the last day of muzzleloader season.
Alright, well, we're out here on what is the last evening of muzzleloader season. The rifle season in Virginia opens tomorrow morning, and it has been probably a little bit over a week since I've had a muzzleloader in my hands out here on this property. I've been taking advantage of some good weather days and good condition days to hunt another property with some archery equipment and chasing after some big bucks down in there. But today, we're back out here with the muzzleloader for one more evening to see if maybe we get lucky. We're back out here in the same creek bottom area where we started the first open morning of muzzleloader, and where I shot that buck earlier on in the season during archery. And the leaves have finally most of the way dropped off the trees where I can actually see and get a little bit farther of a shot. So the chances of us seeing deer in here tonight are pretty high. It's just, are we going to see a buck that we actually want to take a shot at? That's going to be the question. So I guess we'll wait it out and we'll see if something good comes along.
Matt?
Oh boy, okay. That was not expected at all. I thought for sure that spike buck was pushing them does through and that was gonna be it, but that buck came through. I mean, he was at 30 yards right there. I felt good about the shot, but I don't know. I saw him take off running back across the field behind me. So now I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping at this point. I'm gonna go ahead while it's daylight and get down now and look for blood, because these leaves are wet. But man, that was a very nice buck, and I hope that I made a good shot on him. I felt good about it, but I don't know. I couldn't see anything with the smoke cloud, so I guess let's go see what we can find. Okay, so we got a lot of hair right here, so I know we hit him. It's white hair though, so maybe a little low, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna just ease up a little bit up there where he ran and see if I find blood. And if I do, I'll decide from there based on what it looks like as to what we're gonna do. Alright, well, I've walked this fence row right behind me here where he jumped over. I'm not immediately seeing any blood, but I felt decent about the shot. I know we hit him. We have a bunch of hair on the ground, so I'm gonna hold off a little bit. I'm gonna go get my special blood flashlight and stuff out of my truck, and we'll see what happens. I may or may not film any of this track job. I may just have to catch up with you guys if we find him, but we'll see what happens from there, I suppose. Either way, if the shot landed, it should have been good enough. So hopefully, I know where this buck headed. I know where he should bed down if it's not a great shot, and we're kind of cornered right here as well, so he shouldn't go anywhere where I can't find him eventually. So let's slow down, we'll backtrack everything, look at the footage, and we'll see how everything plays out. Alright, well, updates I suppose. I tracked that deer for a little ways. I found a couple tiny little drips of blood, nothing all the way across that field, and one tiny little drip as he crossed the fence on the other side. I went back, gave him a few hours and stuff, came back, found no more blood, no more tracks, no more signs. I'd never jumped him or anything. And looking at the footage back, I think that deer's gonna survive. I think we just barely clipped the bottom of his belly. It was low, which is what all the white fur came from, so I think he's gonna survive. And based on the fact that I know that doe group is there all the time in that same spot, and that's who he was kind of following behind, I'm gonna hit it first thing tomorrow morning, opening morning of rifle season, and maybe by some stroke of luck, he comes through there again. Hopefully I can get him on trail camera to confirm that he's still alive, but as of right now, based on the footage and based on what I'm finding, I think he should make it. So I guess we'll see what happens tomorrow morning.
Alright, well, that night didn't really exactly go the way I wanted it to. It did, but the result wasn't what I was looking for, unfortunately. And that sucks. It really does. He was standing broadside at 30 yards, and I just hit him low. There's no excuse for that. I know my abilities. I know what that muzzleloader is capable of. It was just a bad shot. I thought it was better, but I guess not. And here's the footage that I was looking at. It's not much, and the quality is not good when we zoom into it, but these two frames show me what I was kind of looking at. In the first one here, you see nothing, and in the second one, you see what looks like a very small bullet impact. It's not much, but as I flick back and forth, you can clearly see that there is something there, and that gave me hope that I hit him low enough to where he would survive, and that was the best I had to go off of. It's really unfortunate that things like that happen sometimes. You try your best to not have that happen, but I was pretty confident that buck was still alive based on the camera footage and stuff, so at least that was something I had. And from there, it was just a game of hoping that I would get a second chance at him. After that evening where I didn't end up finding him, I never saw any more signs out of him. I never saw any buzzards circling anywhere. I never had him on trail camera, never seen him in the stand or anything, and it was just a waiting game to see if he would show back up or not. Rifle season came around, and as November went along, we had a couple other chances, several spike bucks, a few does moving through, a younger 6-point buck here, which he might be a pretty good one in a year or two. another younger 7-point buck, which also might be the same case in another year or two. We even had a chance at 25 yards with this really nice solid 8-point. It was just a case of he came out at my 3 o'clock position and I couldn't get the gun on him fast enough with the camera and stuff, so it just didn't quite work out with him either, even though I absolutely would have taken the shot on that deer if he would have given me, I don't know, maybe 20 more seconds to get lined up. But that's the way it goes with self-filming sometimes. That was until, bam, December 1st. I had this one single picture of him when he walked past my trail camera, and that's all I needed to confirm that he was still alive. He's got a pretty good gash right underneath of his belly there, but hey, he was still alive. 2 weeks later, and he showed back up to the property, so it was game time at that point. So at that point, it had been a pretty long rifle season. We had one good opportunity there with a really solid buck, just didn't work out the way we wanted it to. But other than that, it had been pretty difficult. So fast forward, January 1st rolls around. I decide to go back to the same field that we were in earlier in the box blind, except I set up on the opposite corner where I had seen those bucks come out previously. I was in a small ground blind because if I was going to get a chance at something, it was probably going to be there. If I was going to see that buck again that I had shot previously, there's a good chance he might have been following the doe group that I knew was coming out into that field. So I got set up. Everything was looking good. The weather was good. But once I got out there in the field, I noticed that my SD card was having problems in my camera. I should have had a spare, but it is what it is. I wasn't overly concerned about it at the time because I didn't expect to shoot anything. That's why I don't have a little intro clip or whatever of me sitting in the blind and explaining things. Long story short, it was pretty uneventful until right at the last few minutes of daylight. I had these couple of does come out. They were right about 100 yards away or so from me. They played around there for a little bit. Definitely nothing that I was looking to shoot at the time. And then you can't really see it on camera, but the buck I was looking for, the one that I had already taken a shot at and hit and wounded, popped his head out of the tree line. The camera's at a little bit different angle than I am, so you can't see him, but he's there. I have just enough light to where I can clearly see to take a shot at him. And here's where things kind of go sideways again. Yep, that's unfortunate. Right as the shot went off, it froze my SD card or something and completely messed it up after that. I have no footage of the rest of the shot, the tracking I did or anything like that. I have no footage of me sitting there with the buck talking to you guys. The camera said the SD card was good, but I guess it wasn't. So I ended up taking a shot. He was about 110 yards broadside. I had a clear shot from where I was. He ended up kind of bunny hopping. He made it about 40 yards into the tree line, and that's where he collapsed. Very effective, very clean kill, but I just wish I had a better camera shot for you guys and that the SD card didn't mess it up. It really sucks that not only did I hit him bad on the first chance I had, but the second chance I didn't even have a good operating camera setup to film it with. This buck is just a sequence of disappointing circumstances, I guess, but that's the way it goes, especially when you're self-filming your hunts. It's unfortunate, but I ended up getting him recovered. I got him field dressed, so I'll jump back in here after I got him all field dressed and loaded up in the truck. And here's the one picture I have of him once I drug him back into the field where I actually shot him along the edge. You can clearly see there that he does have a pretty good scar right under his belly there. It seems to have healed up pretty nicely. There is one little bump there that could be some kind of infection or something, but it was definitely not hurting him at all or anything. It was just a really unfortunate circumstance that I hit him bad the first time and didn't really get it on camera great the second time. Alright y'all, well, there he is all loaded up. We got him field dressed and everything. I mean, that is a very nice, very solid Virginia farm buck right there. Can't complain about him at all. I mean, I guess technically he's an 8-point. He does have this little sticker point right down off of his base right there. And you can see that big mass right there where I hit him the first time down low. But hey, we can't complain. That is the second deer this season that I've had a second chance at, and he's a good one. I'll take that buck any day of the week. So now let's head on down to the butcher. We'll get him processed, and who knows, maybe we might do a shoulder mount or something on this guy, since he's one of the bigger bucks I've taken in a number of years now. But let's get on our way down to the butcher's. All right, y'all. Well, I know it's a little dark, but we got him dropped off in the butcher right there. I wish I could have filmed a little more, but they were playing some music, and YouTube doesn't really like that because of copyright reasons. But we got him all dropped off. They'll take care of him. It's always nice to support your local small business like butcher places anyway, and I try to do it as much as I can, but they'll take care of him. We'll have some good meat in the freezer, and that was another very interesting hunt. There's no doubt about that. All right, y'all. Well, that was a complete and total roller coaster of a hunt, without a doubt. We had a shot. It was bad. We didn't see anything. Then all of a sudden we had a good buck and didn't have a good opportunity. Then we saw a whole lot of nothing. And then the buck I wanted happened to give me a chance with 3 days left of the season. And the camera messed up right as I took the shot. You can't really make this stuff up, but that happens when you hunt. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you make a bad shot, and it's what you do after the fact that really makes the difference. Your decisions that you decide to make and how you go about it after that. And when you're self-filming, camera issues are bound to happen. But hey, we got a nice buck on the ground, we completed the mission we started, and we've got meat in the freezer. So hey, I'm happy enough with it. It was up and down, all over the place. I'd never expected to get a second chance at that deer, but if you're persistent enough, and you know your area, and you know the deer in it, you can get the job done. And that's what we saw here today. So I guess, leave all your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts about everything. It was definitely all over the place for me, but I hope it made for some kind of exciting hunt for you guys, because it was definitely pretty exciting for me, that's for sure. But I hope you all enjoyed. As always, we have all the channel Instagrams as well as the mailbox and stuff down in the description if you're interested in any of that. But we're going to get back to all the normal testing. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.